This is Robert at Merritt Webb, and this is the 9th installment for QuikTest Education. QuikTest certification exam is what this is for. And this one is going to be on Personal Safety Questionnaire. Again, from the QuikTest results, you can scroll down, and under Personal Safety Discussion, you'll find a questionnaire for elevated personal safety interview. We created this from a number of different sources, and a lot of people are afraid to deal with suicidal ideation, suicidal talk, and elevated personal safety score, basically. You shouldn't be afraid to confront it. If a person scores in an elevated way, that's an indication that there's a problem. Now, what you need to understand is they told you that. They already know it. It's not like you're going to surprise them and say, wow, you know, you got suicidal ideations going on here. Their response is going to be, no kidding. Okay? A lot of counselors are afraid to deal with it, to bring it up. One place where I worked, they wanted you to bring it up directly. Do you feel like harming yourself or others today? They wanted it asked that point blank, because if the person does something to themselves or to other people, they want that to be in writing, that they actually did ask, straight out. It's not a bad thing to do, and it is critically important for you to make sure that you document that you have in fact asked that question. If you're not taking notes and indicating that you asked the person if they felt like harming themselves or others, and they do it, you're going to be sued by the family, and you're probably going to lose, because you didn't investigate something that was obvious or should have been obvious to you. Cover yourself. Always make a physical note. Remember, if there's no note, there was no session. That's what's going to play out in court. If you say, well, I spoke to the person about this, and they're going to say, really? Where's the note? Let me see the note. Well, I didn't take a note. Then you did not talk to them. You're lying to me. No note, no session, no defense. You have walked into the worst situations you could possibly walk into. There are 3 different ways that you can take notes in this system. There's no excuse for not taking notes. So that's just my little rant about note taking. You need to take that to heart. I would recommend, if you can, to use DAP notes. They're much easier to use than SOAP notes. SOAP notes are for the medical community. DAP notes are more designed for the counseling community. Or just do a therapist confidential note. That's free-form noting. That's free-form notation. At least you have covered yourself. Don't wait a week to do it. Do it as part of the counseling session. Agency that I worked for, when you got done counseling, you went back into the room, even if you had somebody waiting out in the waiting room for you and you were late, and you did your note before you brought somebody else in, because it was part of the counseling session. It wasn't an add-on for later. It's part of the counseling session. It's a closeout for the counseling session. Okay, let's look at this real quick. You are not going to cause a suicide by bringing up the fact that the person has a high personal safety score, and you talk to them about it. They're already thinking bad things, either directly or indirectly. Life has become a burden. It's become something that is increasingly becoming something that is too much for them to handle. They may begin taking risks that will be harmful, and they may harm themselves. So when you have an elevated score, you decide where that score is elevated. 115, 120, 125. 125 is pretty high to make as your benchmark. I wouldn't go over 120 without dealing with it. Anyway, here's a number of questions. You want the answer to these questions to be able to help this person. When did the suicidal thoughts begin? First of all, you preface this by saying, this test that you took, it's got a category on it, a scale on it called Personal Safety, and that kind of says that you may not be safe with yourself. Is that true? Have you been thinking about harming yourself? There's nothing wrong with coming out and asking it. You need to ask it. If there's a score of 120, you need to ask that question, because it's on their mind in one way or another. And then you begin to investigate more. When did the suicidal thoughts begin? The reason you ask this question is because if it's been 2 months, that's really putting a lot of stress on them without a break. That would indicate that there's more of a potential of it happening. If they say, well, it started a couple days ago, you still got to be cognizant of the fact that this person could harm themselves. But that stress of this happening over time is not there yet. What events brought this up? Okay, I broke up with my boyfriend, whatever. Now you've got something tangible that you can deal with in counseling to bring these suicidal thoughts down. How often do you think about it? It's on my mind every second. Well, now you're talking about an imminent possibility of them harming themselves. Do you feel as if you are a burden? This is one of the main things that people will say in suicide notes. I'm tired of always complaining about not feeling well, and all I do is complain to my friends, and I'm just a burden to them. I'm going to take the burden away. Is there anything that seems to make the desire to harm yourself go away? Again, this is a tool you can use in counseling. Let's do more of this stuff. If I go exercise, that desire goes away. If I go out with friends, the desire goes away. Is there anything that makes the desire or feelings to harm yourself worse? Yeah, when I'm by myself. Okay, then they need to find an escape, either a way to deal with being alone or a way of not being alone at all. Go out and be with somebody. Do you have a specific plan? This is a very key ingredient in a person harming themselves. They got a plan. They know how they're going to do it. Do you have a time? When are you going to do this? Do you have access to firearms? Do you have access to medications? Well, what kind of medications do you have access to? Don't leave it up to them to say, well, no, that medication is not dangerous. Well, Tylenol is dangerous if you take 40. You can destroy your kidneys, liver. What medications do you have access to? You as a therapist then go on the internet and determine whether or not that is a dangerous medication. Yeah, I've got 180 Xanax. Well, hello, 180 Xanax in a bottle of Jack Daniels is going to kill somebody. You need to know what medications this person has. You need to know if they have access to firearms, and you may have to deal with that. Don't you take the firearms yourself, but the firearms need to be away from a person. Firearms are an essential part of many suicides because it's readily available. Somebody just snaps and bam, there we go. They don't have to go looking for a rope. They don't have to go find somewhere to jump off of or bus to run in front of or whatever. Nope. Got the firearm upstairs, go upstairs and bam, we're all done. Same thing with the medications. We got a bottle of pills in my pocket. I've got opioids in my pocket. Well, those and again, alcohol, brain damage, death, coma, all kinds of nasty things happen. Don't be afraid to use this list with any elevated personal safety score. This is in a PDF format, so it should print out exactly as you see it here. There's a print button right up here in the corner. So just go ahead and print this out. You can photocopy it if you wish. Use this with a client every time you have an elevated personal safety score. And that's going to be it for now. We'll be back again with the final installment, the 10th video on dealing with personal safety treatment protocols. That's the closing QuikTest educational video. That's all for now.